This is TWiT.
Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. Explore everything ACI Learning has to offer and protect your organization's readiness with IT Pro, Audit Pro, including enterprise solutions, webinars, and the Skeptical Auditor podcast, practice labs, learning hubs, and ACI Learning's partnership program. Visit acilearning.com and let ACI power up your IT team. Let's talk real quickly about what's not going to happen, a folding iPad. Ming-Chi Kuo said in 2024, folding iPads, to which Mark Gurman immediately tweeted, not hearing anything about a folding iPad in 2024. He does say there will be some exciting new iPad designs next year. OLED iPad Pros, entry-level, and a mini spec bump. We do need to update the mini, and I love the mini. That should be updated. As I wrote before, 2023 will be a light year for the iPad and watch, but nothing about folding. Although this is a weird rumor. The foldable iPad with carbon fiber kickstand. That's Ming-Chi Kuo's speculation. Ross Young also tweeted. I have his tweet somewhere. Where is it? No, that's all my tweets are confusing me. Here we go. Ross Young, have heard about a 20.5-inch foldable notebook for 2025, but nothing about a foldable iPad for 2024. Maybe this is just good PR for the Hinge company. maybe Ming-Chi Kuo was talking to the Hinge folks. I have to say, I've used foldable. I used the Galaxy Fold, the Flip. I've used a variety of foldables. I don't think foldable screens are really ready for prime time. They're not as good as real screens. I like the flip phone because it's kind of small. You can put it in your pocket and open it up to a normal size. But honestly, it's a gimmicky thing. I'm not surprised to hear this. I can't imagine. I'm surprised Apple would consider foldables of any kind.
It's intriguing though. Every time I love my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but every time I put it in my bag, I really wish that if I could fold it in half and just make it just something that's but the size of a normal iPad or an iPad Mini. Oh my God! Would I, even if there were a tiny crease in the middle, I might even consider it. But yeah, you're right. Right now there isn't the compelling enough reason for the extra expense, and also the jury's still kind of out on the longevity of those kind of devices. But I love what's happening in Windows space with this sort of stuff. Every time I try a really interesting concept of a foldable, I think, oh, I hope this technology matures, because I would enjoy having a device like this that I wouldn't worry that, gee, I'm spending $1,200 extra for a notebook that's going to last maybe 3 years, not quite so long.
And I'm excited about folding. I just don't think it's coming anytime soon.
Not really.
I think it's a solid 3 or 4 years. And I will say I have some friends that have the foldable Samsung, and it still looks like they use it every day, and it opens up and it looks good. And I'm like, okay, well, this might work. But if Apple did it before 2025 or 2026, I'd be pretty surprised.
Yeah, I tried to think about, like, why would you do this? Like, what is the reason for this? And the best thing I've come up with is it's an iPad that is its own magic keyboard. Like, it's a nice big iPad, and then if you fold it into a laptop configuration with a kickstand, you can now use it in that kind of like the bottom part becomes a keyboard and a pointing device, and the top part is still the apps running. But that's so esoteric, and you're going to charge a fortune for it, and I don't know about that. And then the other idea is what Andy said. You could fold it in half, but the question there is it usable when you fold it in half? Because most of these things have discovered that you want it to be an innie and not an outie, right? So you want to kind of fold it in on itself. That means that now either it's nothing when it's closed, or you have to put another screen on the back. And are you really going to put another screen on the back that turns it into an iPad Mini? I don't
need it to work when it's closed. I think it protects the screen. It protects the screen. And it's something.
Right. That's a choice. Is that it's just then what your benefit is just that when you're not using it, you can fold it away to protect it. Is that enough? And it's hard for me to see it.
As a proud owner of cargo pockets on like half of my pants, it'd be pretty cool.
But it's really, really interesting. If the technology were mature enough that Apple would want to go for it all the way, the idea of, yes, you're right. For me, just the idea of having it a full-size 12.9-inch screen that is more easily toteable than something that doesn't fold, that in itself would be a win. But if they also added it so that it doesn't just fold flat, it also folds to like 100 to like 200 degrees, 220, 230 degrees. So now I can have sort of a half tablet that's sort of an easel sort of display.
Yep.
That would be interesting too. If I could also have a third way where I can fold it in half, but now because it's an intermediate fold, it's being interpreted as like a book with a left screen and a right screen. Yep. If that sort of thing, if Apple or any other company really pulled that off and actually got developers to get behind it and support it, now you're starting to get me wondering, gee, I was going to spend $3,000 on like a really nicely tricked out MacBook Pro. Maybe, I don't know. I love the idea of hardware that changes itself to suit whatever situation you're in at the moment. We saw that revolution when we had user interfaces that could be completely glass, that could totally reconfigure themselves on the iPhone screen. You don't have to have physical call and answer buttons. You don't have to have physical QWERTY keys on the thing. It could reconfigure itself based on the task that the app actually wants to help you out with. Physical conformity to that sort of thing would be a really intriguing trick, and I'd love to see it happen. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, though.
As for the concept of the folding laptop, I mean, a laptop is a folding laptop, right? Like it already is. That.
Yeah, but we're talking a single screen across the whole.
I think that's it. And who's to say that? Okay, Ming-Chi Kuo's sources are in the supply chain. He says that this is
so are Ross Young's. He's a display supply chain guy.
And then Ross Young says a foldable laptop, and it's like, well, they're probably seeing the same thing, right? And the idea here, what is this? What OS does this run? We talked about touchscreen MacBook Pros, and we talked about would those be very conservative or would Apple make a convertible? The fact that all of these things have the same chips in them, it might be hard to tell whether you're looking at an iPad or a laptop, if it's something that is basically designed to be flat like an iPad and also fold and turn into something in a laptop shape.
Lenovo we don't have to guess because Lenovo makes a ThinkPad X1 Fold that is exactly that. It has a big screen and unfolds. And
a touch screen that is also the keyboard and pointing area, right?
Yeah,
when you're in laptop
it's kind of a weird...
It's super weird, right? Yeah. I mean, although we shouldn't
like
say that
gimmicky.
Apple wouldn't do something weird with a keyboard, right? But yeah, well, that's the thing about it is like I get that Apple would want to experiment with this, but is this a product that Apple would be like, "Yep, we nailed it. It's going to be great." It's like it seems a little bit weird.
I'm looking at this ThinkPad video. It's got the same problem as the Galaxy Fold, which is those foldable screens are not very good. They're not good. They're not screens you want. And
Apple
weird.
takes pride in their screen quality, right?
Look how, when I look at Lisa's M2 14-inch MacBook Pro, that screen is mind-bogglingly good. I mean, it's so good. Last night, she said, you can play with it for 5 minutes. No, she was very generous. She said, make an account on it. You can play with it. Bring it to work. Review it. I said, well, Jason already reviewed it. But I did open up. I went to YouTube immediately and opened up a 4K HDR 120 frame per second video. And it was almost three-dimensional. That screen is so good. You won't get anything like that on a foldable screen. And I don't think Apple wants to. If they're upping the ante on their, you said, Jason, it's the best screen Apple's ever made.
For the Mac, certainly, I think it is for the Mac. I mean, we could debate about like OLED on the iPhone and stuff, but on the Mac, the fact that it's ProMotion, that it's got those mini LED backlighting, so it's not perfect OLED-like, but it's pretty good. It's
that black faded away,
super bright.
Yeah,
like it's the best. It's state of the art for a Mac display for sure.
Yeah. So I just. And I don't think folding is going to get better much because it's the nature of the beast. It has to be a soft plastic screen to fold. Well, I mean, you can fold an OLED. OLEDs are just, a thin sheet of material, but
it's just that for years and years and years, like I've been sort of impatient because like with when a design for a laptop for a mobile computer is this static for this long, you have a keyboard and a pointing device on one side of it, you got a hinge, and then you got a screen at the other side of the hinge. It's not a solved problem yet. I think that there's stuff that could be done if both manufacturers, software developers, and users decided to get more adventurous. And it's not necessarily a sin that the three aren't getting together and deciding to head off on that adventure together. It's possible they just want something that's practical, usable, that's exceptional in its own way, that's in this refinement of this old idea. I just think that we're leaving some money on the table here. That there's some great ideas that aren't being really exploited because there are too many people who are going to say, "Oh, that's stupid. Oh, Steve would never have approved something like that," or "Oh, Apple would never make something like that." It's interesting, and I like the idea of it being out there for a crazy 3% of the market to buy, and to be the only 30,000 of these ever made, but these 30,000 that people would never ever trade in a million years.